It's Monday, October 14th, 2024. And this is episode 320 of You Can Bet on That. Hi, everybody. Welcome to You Can Bet on That, a podcast for the recreational gambler. I'm Mark Duvall.
And I'm Dr. Mike.
Dr. Mike, I understand you did a little gambling yesterday?
Yeah, I headed down to Diamond Joe Worth.
Yeah.
Hadn't been there in quite a while, and I wanted to get my free play.
Yeah.
It was up and down. It didn't go terrible, but it didn't go good either.
Yeah. Okay.
So got my free play. I was only there like maybe 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah.
Wasn't there that long, considering I had a 4-hour drive, 2 there and 2 back.
Yeah.
But there were a couple of changes. I noticed they had Bubble Craps machine.
Oh, okay.
One of those individual ones. There was like 4 or 5 stations, and you could just play by yourself.
Yeah.
And it was a $3 limit, which, is kind of nice if you're looking for a cheap way to play craps. I mean, that's a great way to learn.
Yeah, I agree.
Somebody really wanted to learn. There's no pressure on you. You're not holding anybody up.
Right.
Also, on a sadder note, they changed the 5 and 9. You can only buy them now if you make a $50 or higher bet.
Huh.
Used to be 20, right?
Yeah, right.
So I would put like $30 on every number.
Yeah. That's what.
And now, I mean, you can still put 30, but you can't buy them.
Why not? Why did they change it?
Have no idea.
Huh.
I'm sure it's for, the house. I guess maybe they were losing way too much money on that bet.
Well, what about the 4 and 10? Is that also 50?
Well, that's still 20. You have, you can buy a 20. I mean, who thought of that? Were they in some meeting and like, we're taking a real beating on these 5s and 9s coming up.
That's so strange. I keep hearing things too about in Las Vegas. They're kind of transitioning to being able to buy the 5 and 9.
Right.
But I keep hearing stories about, depending on what shift you're at a particular casino, the dealers don't know. The pit doesn't know.
Well, you can still buy it. You just have to bet $50. So, most of the people playing there are not betting $50 on that.
Right.
There's always a few, but most of them are betting 10 or, and if it hits a couple times, then maybe they press to 20. Well, that does them no good now. Now they got to get it up to 50 before they can buy it.
Well, shoot, that's too bad.
Maybe they were running low on dollar chips for the VIG.
That could be, yeah.
It was just too much.
Yeah, the dollar chips are a real problem.
Yeah. Oh, Mark, when we have a casino, we're going back to the metal dollar chips.
Metal dollar chips, and we'll have 25-cent chips at the table, too, so you can buy the 6 and 8 for $3 and get paid $3.50.
Right. Or $15.
Oh, yeah, right. $15 you can still pay off correctly.
Yeah, you can pay that off correctly. I'd like that.
Yeah. All right, when we buy our casino, when we open our casino, when we finally get licensed for our casino.
Yeah, the paperwork is going so slow.
We're running out of time here. Well, Dr. Mike, since our last episode, there have been a couple of deaths that are significant to the gambling world. The first one most people heard about was Pete Rose. Of course, he is the Major League base hit leader.
Yeah.
But did not get into the Hall of Fame because he gambled on baseball when he was a manager in baseball. People who've listened to the show before know that I was not a big Pete Rose fan. A lot of it because of his personality. He denied the gambling initially. That's the reason he's not in the Hall of Fame. So now there's a lot of talk about, is he going to go into the Hall of Fame now? And one argument that I just do not agree with is, baseball has embraced gambling now. So it's time to put Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame. Well, okay.
They haven't embraced gambling by players.
Exactly. Betting. They haven't embraced gambling on baseball when you're a player or a manager.
When you're involved in the team. My feeling on Pete Rose is, like you, I was never a huge fan of Pete Rose just because of his personality and stuff. but he didn't get into the Hall of Fame because he denied it the first time.
That's
I
really, he
think,
denied it. That's the
yeah,
big reason. Yeah. It
it's
wasn't.
like it's like all the guys with steroids, right?
Yeah.
Like, Barry Bonds, and the list goes on there. But when they all deny it and you kind of have proof that it did happen, it's hard to put him in the Hall of Fame. It goes to character,
Yeah.
right? Why didn't Pete Rose just say, yeah,
Yeah.
I like to bet and I bet? And
Yeah.
they would have admonished him for something. But when it came Hall of Fame time, they probably would have let him in.
I'll be honest, at this point, I really don't care if he gets
Yeah.
into the Hall of Fame or not. He certainly has the numbers. He's gone now. So I might have felt strongly about it years ago, certainly, when it initially happened. At this
Yeah.
point, I don't really have a strong feeling one way or the other as to whether
Well,
he
if
goes
they
in,
want to
so.
put him in the Hall of Fame, put him in.
Yeah,
Just when you go there to the Hall of Fame, just don't look at that section.
Well, hopefully there'll be a big asterisk. He really shouldn't be here, and here's why.
No, his little section is you have to go out of the building, down some hall, make a turn by some big tree, and then there's this little shed. You go in there. And there's a warning sign. This contains Pete Rose memorabilia. If you're against him being in the Hall of Fame, please do not enter.
It's the bunker. They'll put him in the bunker. Yeah.
They'll put him in the bunker. Every building should have a bunker. Well, he was a great baseball player. I will not deny that.
Yeah, no question.
And, we showed him when Eric Chow sat down on the mound during his ceremony.
What an embarrassment. Just stand. It's got to be somebody, Chow. Just happened to be you. Stand up. Oh,
yeah,
God.
right. I'd be kind of proud.
Feel free to look that up, everybody. Eric Chow and Pete Rose.
I would have, been kind of proud. Like, this guy set the record and I was the one who gave it up. I mean, what about all the other guys before him?
The thing is, if Chow had not sat down on the mound, many people might not even know who the pitcher was.
Right.
But by doing that, kind of being a baby about it.
It's the Padres, Mark. We got Eric Chow.
All right. Well,
we've got national anthems.
Let's save that for the end of the show. I don't want to talk too long about it because everybody knows probably what we're going to say. Well, let's save that for the end of the show.
Yep.
The other death was Archie Karras, a famous Greek gambler. Just like your dad.
Yeah.
One of the most famous Greek gamblers. He was a big-time gambler he was famous for a winning streak that went from 1992 to 1995 when he won over $40 million. And some of that was playing craps. It wasn't, just playing poker or being smart. And then he lost the whole wad by the end of 1995. So he was really a gambler, didn't really care about the money. Well, I shouldn't say that. He cared about the money in that he liked to throw around money while gambling, right?
Right.
So definitely one of the most famous gamblers. Now, he was also a pool shark and he played poker, did all sorts of things. Again, his character, who knows? In 2013, he was convicted of marking cards right here at Verona.
Yeah.
Right. And he was convicted and sentenced to 3 years probation. He was ultimately banned from all Nevada casinos. But a pretty interesting character if people wanted to research a little bit more. He's got a Wikipedia page, of course. Archie Karras. So, R.I.P.
How old was he? Do you know?
I believe he was 73. Yeah.
73. It's kind of, by today's standards, kind of young.
Yeah.
Of course, you spend a lot of time in casinos.
Yeah. He probably lived pretty hard. So,
yeah, it's going to do it.
Yeah. Well, Mike, last weekend, one of my sons and I went to see San Diego State Aztec football game. I hadn't been to a football game, Mike, in years. Oh, my God.
A long time.
And he had never been. And, we really enjoyed ourselves. It's a relatively new stadium, Snapdragon Stadium. It's where Qualcomm Stadium used to be. And I love the facility. It really feels kind of like a college stadium. It's a little smaller and kind of open and nice.
How are the seats?
The seats are fine. It's not like benches or anything. But,
Right.
yeah, they're a little cheaper than your typical seats, but
Right.
it was fine. Go
My
ahead.
daughter went to a couple of games so far.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah.
And yeah, she said, it's okay. It's not as good as like Petco or
Oh, no, no, no.
that
But
was her
yeah, but
evaluation.
again, it feels like a college stadium,
Yeah,
and
which is
I
good.
kind of got a kick out of it, to be honest with you. I definitely had a good time there, but it cemented in my mind, I already kind of thought this, that for me, football is a TV game.
Yeah.
I way prefer watching football on TV than going in person. Now, I can't say the same for baseball. I love going to a
Right.
baseball game.
Me too.
That's
Yep.
different. But for football, yeah, the way the action is and what you can see and the information, yeah, I definitely prefer football on television.
Well, as we're talking, I'm watching this Jacksonville and Bears game.
Oh, that London game? Yeah.
Yeah, the London game, and looks like the Bears just scored again. But the play before they scored, was a kind of fun, interesting play, and they replayed it
Yeah.
like 5 times
Yeah.
from different angles. That's what you get on TV.
Yeah.
When you're sitting at the stadium, especially smaller stadiums, you're not getting a lot of replays, and sometimes you don't even know what was going on.
No,
right?
it's true. Right.
It was like, wait a minute, what happened?
Anyway, it was nice to finally go to a game again, but I can't see myself going to certainly a professional football game anytime soon, and maybe never again, because, the cost and the time and the fact that, then I'll be missing out on all the other games that are being played at the same time. Right. Miss my red
That's
zone.
another thing you don't, see all the other games. And I know for us in San Diego, when we had season tickets, we'd get there like 9 in the morning.
Oh yeah, it was a whole day
for the 1:00 game.
Yeah, I mean,
and
that
then
was
the
part
game would go to like 4:30. We'd get home with traffic and everything. It's almost 6.
Yeah, it's the whole day. I mean, you're doing it on purpose. You're going to tailgate. I mean, you could show up right before kickoff, right? But you're wanting to do that. But
you won't
it's a
get
whole
a
day.
parking spot.
No, that's true. Yeah, you'd have to take the trolley or something.
Or something. Yeah. And the other thing is, since you're there so early, you're kind of missing the first games, the early morning.
Yeah, unless you've got a TV set up and
even then, you don't really pay attention. When we did have a TV, we didn't pay that much attention because we're eating and talking and. It's like a party, and I don't know. I just like staying home, watching all the games and seeing everything I can.
Yeah.
And you remember getting home, and it's almost like 6:00, and then there's a Sunday night game.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, I'm just, I'm exhausted from the day, right? I'm going to eat dinner and go to bed. So.
And this is when you were in your 30s, Dr. Mike.
Yeah. This is late 20s and 30s. I mean, it was exhausting, Mark. Having to scream and yell for hours upon hours.
Yeah, all right. You can just sit back today and enjoy all the games, Dr. Mike.
Yeah, that's my plan.
Well, back on episode 188, we talked about a game called Match'em High-Low. I don't know if you remember the game, Mike, but we both were pretty positive about it. It's like, this is kind of an interesting game. Well, the company that created the game, 3J Gaming, asked if they could use the audio from that show to create a video demonstrating the game. And, of course,
nice.
We said yes. And now the video is up on YouTube. I don't know if you've had a chance to look at it, Mike, but
no, I didn't.
They did a great job of it because we talked about the game quite a bit and we were giving examples and things like that. And they catered the video to all that we said. It's like, well, let's say you had 3 aces and they have that on the board. So it's kind of cool. I'll put a link to the video up there. So
well, that's the first thing I'm going to do when I finish this is watch that. Yeah. I saw your email and I'm like, I got to look at that. But of course,
yeah, it's kind of cool. Now the game, he actually said, we're relaunching the game. So I don't know where it might be available right now. But we both thought it was kind of a cool concept, relatively simple. It's certainly simpler to understand when you can actually see the cards. When we described it on the show, it's always hard when we're describing new games and you can't actually see what's going on. But it's a relatively simple game that has some thought to it as well. So it's easy to explain to a player, but then they also have to make some decisions. So anyway, check that out. Match'em High-Low.
The hard thing about explaining a game, if you're explaining it to somebody who's not an active gambler, it gets confusing.
Sure.
If it's somebody who's, plays a lot of cards, gambles a lot, kind of familiar with cards, then, it's not so bad. But I've many times at school tried to explain like craps to somebody who
Yeah.
doesn't gamble, and
Yeah.
they're lost, right?
Yeah. It definitely helps with the visuals. Oh, I know that there are listeners out there who, as soon as we start explaining a new table game or something, they just kind of mentally shut down. Adam Bauer, for example, I think he's actually said that directly to us is, I don't even listen to that part because you guys do a terrible job.
It's Adam. He's got issues.
It's
Mark.
Adam. We're going to see him, I think, in a few weeks. And then
it's
going to be, if you want to see some conflict, everybody, just show up to Zorkfest.
Yep.
Gosh, Mike, that's only a couple weeks away here. I'm going to see you pretty soon. How does that, let's take a look at the calendar here. Does that mess us up with our scheduled podcast?
I was looking at that too the other day.
Oh, no, we're going to be okay. We're going to have an episode just before that. So we're not scheduled to record the week of Zorkfest. So there shouldn't be.
We'll record the 27th.
Perfect.
So
okay, so.
Yeah, that's our off week.
No deviation in the schedule. Very good.
Yes.
Well, on our last episode, we had talked about crapless craps and how you can't make lay bets. Certainly there's no don't pass and don't come on crapless. But we also said, there are no lay bets there because, there's no place to put them. Well, we got a tweet from Scott who said, your comment about lay bets on crapless tables, I play at Hollywood Casino St. Louis, and they allow lay bets on the crapless table. There's no spot on the felt. They simply put the bet where you would typically see a come bet and place a lay lammer on the chips. So there you go. Maybe we misspoke. It's possible that most crapless craps tables allow lay bets. We've just never seen them. We assumed that, since there's no place on the table to actually put them, that they wouldn't allow them. But if they just have a lay lammer there, maybe
let's
they do.
Check that out in Vegas in a couple weeks.
Yeah, we'll just ask. Every time we're at a crapless table, say, hey, can you make lay bets?
Can you make lay bets? Yeah, see what they say. We'll see how common it is if it does happen, or if it's maybe Hollywood just does it because they invested in some lay lammers. Their casino is probably doing really well to be able to afford those lay lammers.
I'll have to look here and see if I still have some lammers, Mike, that have lay on them. And to go and say, do you allow lay bets? Oh, no, not at the crapless table. Well, I have some lammers here.
Yeah.
If you want to use
the lammers are the problem.
Yeah.
I can sell these.
I'll sell them to you. Yeah.
Or rent them to you while I'm playing. But it's a limited time of rent.
That's right. And I'd like to make some lay bets. So free vig for me. Plus you give me an additional $1. Yeah. Now we just assumed, and what happens when you assume, Mike? You make an ass out of you and Paul.
You and Paul,
happens there. So good. Thank you for that information, Scott. We're going to check a little bit more of this out. Hey, thanks to everyone who's been clicking through our Amazon link. Remember, whenever you're going to buy something through Amazon, please go to our page first. You can bet on that.com and click through our Amazon link towards the top of the page. All right, let's move on to voicemails. First up, our good friend Thomas.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike. Thomas from Iowa. Just wanted to call with a little trip report. A few weeks ago, Melissa and I drove out to Colorado to Black Hawk and met Tim for a couple days. So we were staying in Ameristar, and we get into town Thursday evening, and we check in, go to the video poker bar. I decided to play 5-play video poker, bonus poker, and within the first 10 hands or so, I get dealt a flush and has 4 to the royal, so I hold the 4, and lo and behold, I hit the royal on one of them for my first ever. And then a few hands later, I got dealt 3 aces, held those, and got a 4th ace on one hand. It actually did have a 2, but being bonus poker, there's no aces with a kicker.
Right.
And then about 15 minutes later, I hold 3 to the royal, and I get another one.
Come on!
So in the 28-minute span, I got 2 royals and 4 aces. It was a great trip, and we both wound up ahead. Love the show. Have a great one.
The 4 aces, that's just the cherry on the top, but 2 royals within a half hour.
Yeah.
That's amazing, seeing as you and I are never going to hit a royal.
Right. If I didn't like Thomas so much, I'd probably be really upset right now.
Yeah, you'd probably end the podcast right now. Mark, I can't do this anymore.
I need a minute. But because I like Thomas a lot, I'm going to be very happy for him.
Yeah, very good.
Even though I never in my life will even get one, let alone two, let alone in a half hour. Yeah. But, that's the way it goes for us, Mark.
Yeah, that's the way it goes for us. That's our whole life. Thomas sent us some pictures of the payoff. So, yeah, congratulations, Thomas.
Yeah, nice. Good job. And Blackhawks, great place.
We love it. Yeah, we're definitely
winning is a added little bonus.
Yep. All right, next call.
Hi, fellas. This is Mike from Ohio. Just listened to your podcast from the 16th, and I heard Dr. Mike talking about how he and his wife love Butterfingers. And I just wanted to mention, if you haven't had them for a while, you might find them quite different. We were disappointed. We bought a whole bag of them here a few months ago, and I thought the packaging looked a little different. The color of the packaging and the font was a little different, and it turned out the taste also was different from the Butterfingers that we all remembered. So I did a little checking and found out that back in 2018, an English company by the name of Ferrero bought both Butterfinger and Baby Ruth from Nestle's. So they said that they were trying to improve the taste, but at least in our opinion, it went the wrong way. So they're not as good as they used to be. Thought you might want to know. Also, I called you about a year ago and mentioned that the Downtown Grand still had $5 craps, and we were there again this past summer, and indeed they still do. $5 craps and $5 blackjack. So thought you'd want to know that. Okay, nice talking to you guys. Bye.
All right, good. Thanks for the information, Mike. Dr. Mike, have you noticed that Butterfingers are different?
Well, I remember when that happened. I really can't tell the difference on the taste.
Now, Sherry, Butterfingers are her favorite. She definitely has noticed a difference. She said that they're not as sweet as they used to be.
Yeah, that could be true. Yeah.
But she also said that the center, it doesn't kind of get hard or stale as much as they used to. You know, you get like an old Butterfinger, it's like, right? It's like, it's hard to crunch, so it's not as good compared to the fresh one. So she said, maybe that's why they changed the formula, or one of the reasons. But yeah, they're definitely different. Yeah, it reminds me of Three Musketeers, Mike, when you and I were kids.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, those have changed a lot.
Yeah, a lot. The middle wasn't that chocolatey. There was chocolate on the outside, but the center, was...
It was fluffy, too.
It was fluffier. Yeah.
Yeah, it was fluffier. Yeah, they're a little stodgy now.
Now the center is actually chocolatey. More so. So, yeah, I do kind of miss those as well. So
I don't know why do they mess with stuff?
Oh, relax.
Don't mess with the Butterfingers. They even have a commercial that says, "Don't mess with my Butterfinger."
Yeah.
I mean, they even have a commercial. I'm just always so happy when I'm eating a Butterfinger. Yeah. I don't really dwell on it much.
Okay.
And that's what you have to do with life, right?
Good. I'm glad to hear you say that, Mike. Yeah, you need to relax. Yeah.
Right, you need to relax and then just enjoy you got a Butterfinger of some sort. Chico sticks have changed a lot.
Oh, yeah, Chico sticks, definitely in the same family.
They're smaller now. They used to be really big around.
Yeah.
You buy a Chico stick now, it's like it is a stick. It used to be like a log.
Chico logs.
Chico logs.
They were even called Chico logs back then. Oh, it's like ding dongs and Twinkies and zingers. Right. They're all so much smaller. In my day.
Let me tell you, Mark.
All right.
That's the problem with human beings. We're never satisfied. We always want to change something. You've invented perfection with the Butterfinger, and then somebody comes along and wants to change it. We're never satisfied.
All right. I'm getting mixed messages from you, Dr. Mike. Are you going to relax or are you going to complain?
It's like at the craps table, Mark, to put this in a gambling perspective. The guy has an hour roll, and at the end, someone will say, "Oh, if he had just gone 4 more rolls."
Yeah.
We're just never satisfied. It's in our DNA.
I think I've heard you say that before. Yeah,
yeah, you have.
Yeah. All right, next up is Nick.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is Nick in Kalamazoo. Normally, I call in and talk about a trip report, but I wanted to do something a little bit differently today. My wife and I had an opportunity to go on a cruise out of Italy into Greece and Croatia from gambling, and we jumped at the chance to do it. We knew this cruise would be a little bit different since it's in Europe, and we'll see a lot more Europeans than Americans, and notoriously, Europeans are much more into roulette than they are craps. Get on the boat and realize as American we're the minority, which is interesting. And then the first night at the casino, it hit us and we saw just how busy the roulette table was. Blackjack was still somewhat busy. The side games like Ultimate Texas Hold'em and 3-card were not quite as busy. We did have some decent people wanting to play poker, so we had a good time playing poker. I actually won one of the 4 tournaments that are on there, which was fun, a mix of skill level. But what I wanted to talk about was actually teaching craps. The first night at the table, they had 2 dealers. They only had half the table open. It was $10. It's a cruise ship, so single odds. Played by myself for a while. I had some looky-loos. Had a few people come up and buy in for $20 and play the field. And that was about it. The second night, there were more people looking around watching. I always, when I'm playing by myself, I put the dealers in the line. We're all in it together. We're having a good time. And this couple from Manchester, England came up and we're trying to understand how to play. Bought in for $100, and I was kind of teaching him because the dealers didn't seem as interested in teaching him how to play. And we started going through the first couple cycles, and he was like, wow, this is fun. This is fun to play together instead of at roulette where sometimes we're excited, but only if we all happen to bet on the same number. And he's playing, and his wife is starting to get it, and she's yelling at him, put your odds back there, and trying to help him, right? So a lot of fun. And then the next night, they come to the casino again, and we're all kind of having a good time. To that point, as we're on the ship and I see Dan and Teresa, I'm yelling across the ship, Dan and Teresa, or I actually saw them on the beach in Greece. And then they brought a couple people, and then I taught a couple more people. And towards the end of the cruise, we had a full half of the table available. And on some days when it was busier, they actually opened the other side of the table and we got a nice little thing together, right? So sometimes it's fun to be at a table with a whole bunch of people who played craps before. The game moves super fast. We're all winning money on those big rolls. But I think there's also something to be said about teaching new people and getting them to have fun, whether they're playing just a pass line bet or we teach them to place the 6 and 8, or they're just playing the field because they're having a good time. Kind of remind me why I really enjoy craps. The other thing is I'm not sure if dealers have a good way to help me understand how to do it, but how do you teach players how to tip the dealers? A lot of people have no idea that the casino staff are tipping people. So what happened was I'm playing the dealers in the line, I'm giving them odds, and the guy copies me and he's doing the same thing and he starts to pick up the money and the dealer's like, wait a minute, that's for us. And he's like, wait. And I said, yeah, remember I said I'm making a bet here for the dealers? He's like, yeah, great. So he kind of figured out how to tip the dealers, and he was playing 2 ways and the hard ways, and we're slowly helping people understand how we make sure the dealers get paid. So a very different experience, a fun experience to teach new people, to get people involved is much better than playing with myself. Thank you guys for the podcast. I appreciate it. I look forward to listening to it every time it comes out. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
All right. Thanks, Nick. Yeah, teaching people the game. We were a little worried when we were in the early days of our podcast. Oh, is craps dying? Is craps dying? And I don't think it is. I think we're getting a lot of new players into the game.
Yeah, well, like Nick said, it's a fun game, and it's one of those games where you can all cheer together, right?
Oh, yeah, much. He's talking about roulette, which of course is very popular in Europe. But yeah, you're not all betting on the same number,
right?
Or series of numbers. At craps, generally the table wins and loses together. Yeah,
right.
I have experienced tables where the crew is not very good at explaining the game. Yes. I actually do see that quite a bit. It could be that they're so used to the game that it's hard for them to kind of put themselves in a newbie's shoes to explain it.
Yeah.
Then there are some that are very good. Now, dealers really shouldn't be teaching players how to tip unless the player asks ahead of time.
Right.
That's kind of a no-no, right? It's like, here's how you bet for it. But, if you asked, how can I make a bet for you? Then certainly they could say, just put us on the line, or make a hard way bet for us, something like that.
Most of the time they say, hey, we bet with you, so just add an extra buck.
Yeah, something like that, right?
That kind of thing.
And one of the things that we're going to have at Zorkfest is a craps lab. We're actually going to have 3 sessions where we will teach you how to play craps. And of course, we'll also teach you how to tip. That's definitely going to be part of it too. So, another reason to come see us at Zorkfest.
It's funny that roulette is such a big deal in Europe. I guess I should look into this. How did that evolve that was like their game?
Yeah, I mean, and then why is craps so big here, right?
Yeah,
you can go back and find these origins. I don't, as far as roulette goes, I don't know a lot about it. As far as craps goes, a lot of it was the troops in World War II playing dice, that kind of thing. Evolved from that. But yeah, it's just two different cultures, and that's the way it's gone. But I love Nick's story about, teaching. He met some people there who were from England who didn't know the game. And here, let me show you how to do it. And once you show somebody how to play, as long as it's not like when we tried to teach our friend Bill, and every time it was just the worst rolls, right? Look, Bill, and he'd lose all his money. But as long as you just kind of show him the basics, not go crazy, not here's, every bet that I'm making on the table. Yeah, pretty quickly. Hey, this is a fun game. I like this.
Yeah, I think people like it. I think another thing people like that their money can sit out there for a while.
Right. The bet is not necessarily resolved on the next roll. Yeah.
Right. Whereas in like roulette, the next spin, you win or lose.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Blackjack, hand, win, lose, push. Whereas craps, you could put the $10 on the line, somebody for a 6, and that's all they do. And, it might take 10, 15 rolls before somebody makes a 6. And then people, newbies, start to feel like, well, hey, my $10 lasted a while. Not like blackjack where it disappeared immediately.
Yeah. And then once they learn the game more, then they realize that, they need at least $1,000 if they're going to play on a $10 tip.
Right.
But yeah, no, I know what you're saying.
Yeah. Well, I can see dice being popular because a dice game would be something you could play anywhere, right?
Yeah, that's true. I
could have 2 dice in my pocket, and if you came over, we could play.
Yeah,
but nobody carries a roulette wheel around.
Right.
And the Stone Age, it was a long time before they invented the wheel.
Yeah, they were probably playing craps before roulette in the Stone Age.
Yeah, because they just used a couple of bones.
Yeah.
From some animal and rolled them, and whichever way they turned, it's like win or lose. Yeah. There was a lot of that going on in the Stone Age.
Oh, there was not much else to do. It had to keep themselves entertained. It's either
we're not cave drawing again tonight, are we?
Yeah. Oh my God! Let's just play craps, please.
Yeah, so I can't do any more
sick
cave
of these
drawing.
Stick figures.
Yeah.
All right, next call.
Hey boys, started listening to your show. Love it. Love craps. Me and the guys are heading out to Las Vegas. We go every year for like 30 years now. Grew up in LA and would go a lot in college. Now we go once a year, get together. We used to go to the Strip 30 years ago, but got priced out. Went downtown for a long time. Now we're getting priced out of that. This year we're staying at Rio. Never been there. Thought we'd hit the Palms. Never been there. Or maybe the Orleans. Wondering if you've ever been there. And what is your opinion of off-strip casinos? Seems like we're getting pushed out to off-strip stuff. So I could really use your advice. Thanks, boys.
We don't spend that much time at off-strip casinos, but if you want a better value, that's definitely the way to go.
We have been at all those casinos.
Well, we have, but I mean, we don't spend a lot of time there. We've certainly not been there recently.
No, and the reason we don't spend a lot of time there is because you're kind of limited. If you've flown there and you don't have a car to go anywhere else, you're needing a cab.
Yeah, that's true.
Or an Uber. Whereas on the Strip, you can just walk outside and walk a little bit, especially when we were younger. We remember we did a lot of walking.
Oh, yeah. We'd walk the whole Strip. Well, it depends on what you want from your experience, too. Now, when we're in Vegas, we like going to a lot of different casinos. But I will say this. Last year, the poker gang and we stayed at Orleans, and we loved it there. Yeah. I think that is a good alternative to getting, the expensiveness of the Strip or even downtown. Now, you're not going to get a Las Vegas experience at Orleans, but you will get a casino experience.
Right.
So I would recommend something like Orleans. And they said they were going to stay at Rio. That's no longer Caesars. Those are new owners, and we've heard good things about that. So, that's good. I don't know if the Palms, if he's talking about price points,
Well,
I'm not
Palms
sure.
is owned by
San Manuel, you're probably going to
San
get
Manuel.
yeah, probably
And
going to
they-
get some good gambling, but we haven't been
Yeah.
there since they've taken over,
Right.
so we don't know.
My brother has. He said it was good. It
Okay.
was like San Manuel.
Yeah.
And if you're local, they have a lot of giveaways and a lot of free play and stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh,
So-
yeah. I definitely suggest off strip, but keep in mind, again, you're not going to get the Las Vegas experience. But if all you want is the gambling experience and reasonably priced okay food, which is certainly
Yeah.
fine with me, then yeah, that's a good way to go. And to your point too, Mike, if you do stay off strip, it is nice to have a car, because the nice thing about being in an off strip Vegas casino is that if you do want the Vegas experience while you're there, you can always
Right.
just drive to the strip and then go back to your hotel.
Yeah, exactly. And in the old days, it used to be a lot more convenient because you could park free everywhere.
Yeah.
So you could just drive down to the
Yeah.
strip, park somewhere, and then walk.
Yeah.
Now, parking is an issue.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. The good old days, Dr. Mike.
yeah, when you could actually park on Las Vegas Boulevard.
I don't know if you could actually park on the curb, but we're old enough to remember when there were parking lots in front of the casino.
Casino.
Right?
Yeah.
Like a grocery store parking lot.
Right. Desert Inn. You parked right out in front of it. Man.
All right. Next up is our good friend Todd Goddess.
Hi, Mark and Dr. Mike. Todd Goddess from Minnesota. Just back from a weekend in Blackhawk, Colorado, per your recommendation. I completely agree. It was an excellent getaway. Gorgeous scenery. I did a morning hike in the mountains. All the properties I visited were clean, good games, good craps crews. I even got comfortable at a $15 craps table, which has always been difficult for a low roller like myself. I used a scaled back strategy of how Dr. Mike plays with pressing the 6 and 8 after a few hits, and it worked great. I stayed at the Maristar, which was wonderful. I would definitely go back. One interesting thing I found was the pay table on a Jacks or Better game. The Royal Flush did not pay 4,000 credits for a full 5-coin bet. It only paid 2,500. For 1 coin, it paid 500, 2 coins, 1,000, etc. The same machine also had bonus poker, double bonus poker, and a few others, and all of those games did pay the full 4,000 coins for a max bet Royal Flush. Only the Jacks or Better game was 2,500. Very strange. But back to craps. A player next to me was occasionally making a $15 don't come bet. When the roll was 6 or 8, he would say no action, and the dealer gave him his chips back. The math nerd in me cringed, of course. This happened 3 or 4 times. I didn't really keep track of how he would have done had he left those great bets out there. But a few hours later, I remembered reading in a book many years ago, if you ever see a player do this, immediately offer him the chips for his bet and let the dealer travel the bet to the DC number, and you can take over his bet. It's probably the only advantage craps play you'll ever legitimately get. I'm a little disappointed I failed to do that. Have you ever taken over a DC bet that a player wanted no action on? Thanks for the podcast. Bye.
All right. Thanks, Todd. No, we've never done that. The opportunity doesn't come up that much. Plus, how much are you willing to deal with kind of an awkward situation? Oh, can I buy that bet from you? Here, I'll give it to you. Will the casino allow it? If they hear what you're doing, put that up for me. So, again, if it was something that happened all the time, yeah, maybe you'd do that. But what Todd's talking about is on a don't come bet or don't pass, when a 6 or an 8 is rolled, a lot of don't players say, no action, and the dealer will give them their bet back. But it's a terrible move because you now have the edge on that bet. There are 6 ways to win and 5 ways to lose, but you're going to get paid even money. So, yeah, when Todd says he's cringing because, he knows the math, that's what he's talking about.
Yeah. Actually, that happened last night when I was playing. A guy, he had a don't come bet. He went on to 5.
Mm-hmm.
And then after about 3 or 4 rolls, he said to the dealer, "Can I take that down?" Dealer said, "Sure."
Yeah.
And he took it down. And the very next roll was a 7 out.
That's, we're talking about 6 and 8, 5 and 9 taking it down.
Yeah,
that's
right.
worse.
Yeah, that's way worse, right? He looked at me. He was sitting right next to me, and he said, "Oh, I guess I shouldn't have done that." And I looked at him and I said, "Yeah, it's usually not good to take down a bet that you actually have an advantage on."
Did you say that to him?
I said that exact phrase.
Yeah.
And he looked at me and he said, well, yeah, I guess you're right. And I was trying to just be funny, but
You're right.
he got it.
Yeah.
We never have taken advantage of that, Mark, because I don't play the don't that much.
Hey, you're right.
But
what if you've got money on the 6? Right?
Yeah,
Can I
right.
buy that, $10 bet? You've got $150 on this. Can I buy that $10 from you? You take your bet down. But no, plus,
Right.
you got what's the personality of the person you're dealing with?
Right.
How do you phrase it? Oh, that's an incredibly stupid move. Can I buy that bet from you? So,
if it was your buddy and you
right.
wanted,
Yeah, that's a completely different thing. Yeah.
But what we have done, and our good friend John years ago used to do, is take odds when somebody wouldn't take odds.
That's true. And yeah, that might be a little bit better. Like somebody doesn't have full odds. That rather than no odds or just like full odds. Oh, can I bet the rest of your odds? Can I, put an additional $50 on there too? That have we? Well, we've certainly done that with each other. I'm trying to think if we've done it with strangers. Maybe not. But yeah, our friend John.
Well, John,
great
did.
Guy. Yeah,
he would actually look for people.
Yeah, that was his whole thing.
Yeah, new people who were at a craps table learning the game, and we're putting like $10 on the line, and that's it. And he said, "Do you mind if I make this other bet here?"
Yeah.
And oh no, go ahead.
Yeah,
so he just taking odds on everybody.
Yeah.
Not a bad way to play if the person doesn't mind and the casino doesn't mind.
And he was such a personable guy too.
Oh,
so nice.
Yeah,
that, how can you say no?
Yeah, he was one of those guys. It looked like your grandpa. And,
yeah.
He was real nice and
So that weird pay table that Todd saw, it was a 9-6 jacks or better. That's really what caught his eye initially. He might have even gone to VP Free 2 to find it. So it looked like a full pay table, right? Because you hear 9-6 jacks or better. But the Royal paid $500 for one, regardless of how many coins you played. That's what he was talking about. And that works out to about a 98.88% payback, which is not terrible. But a true full pay 9-6 jacks or better returns 99.54%.
Yeah.
So we were talking about deception on the part of casinos last episode. Is this deception on the casino's part? Because, look, it's a 9-6 game. Oh, that's the best jacks or better you can have, 9-6. But you had to look at the whole pay table to really find out if it was full pay, and it wasn't. What do you think?
Yeah. It's one of those legal deception things, which we should all be used to because it happens to us every day in our life.
Yeah.
But you really got to look. Hey, it's kind of like, Mark, when, you're looking at a game and you think that remember 4 aces would pay a little better on some machines.
Oh, you know what? I know what you're thinking of. You're thinking of bonus poker. We'd see bonus poker machines, which, 4 aces is going to pay a little bit higher, and some of the lower 4 of a kinds are going to pay higher. But you got to look at those lower. Yeah, it was like 2 pair was just 1 for 1.
Right.
Which made a huge difference. Yeah.
They get it back somewhere, and people see that. Oh, look at this. If I give 4 aces, and then, what you're going to get a lot of is 2 pairs, and you're just going to get your money back.
Yeah. So, you got to look at the whole pay table, not just, the 9-6 or, what a full house and what a flush pays, but all of them, and compare it to the max coin. Like in this case, right? It didn't matter if you were playing max coin on this machine that Todd, you could pay any amount of coin and it would pay the same relative back to you. So anyway.
Buyer beware. I guess.
People throw around 9-6 jacks are better, 9-6 jacks are better. And really what you want is full pay jacks are better, which, yes, is 9-6, but you got to look at the whole pay table. Okay, we've beaten this enough. Let's move on to our last call.
I'm glad Todd had fun, too.
Oh, it was his first trip to Blackhawk. And
I was telling him how we loved it, and so I'm glad to hear.
Yeah, he was messaging me back and forth, too, while all this was going on. So another positive Blackhawk experience.
Hi, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is Andrew from Phoenix. Hope you both are doing well. Thanks for the great podcast. I had a quick question for you guys on a topic you discussed a while back. Have either of you used any of the sweepstake model sports books, such as Profit X, Rebet, Flip? I thought it might be helpful to your listeners to give some insights on those and anything to be cautious of. I'm out here in Arizona, as I mentioned, and looking into diversifying some of the sports books that we have, but these ones seem a little bit on the fringe. So curious to get your guys' take. Thanks. Bye.
All right. Yeah. Thanks, Andrew. Hope all is well with you. We have not taken part in sweepstake sports wagering. Now, we have talked about daily fantasy sports, which is available in more states than traditional sports betting. And sweepstake wagering is also available in more states. It's available here in California, it's available in Texas, but we've never played it. Here's how it works, and it is a little complicated, and I would recommend going online to learn a little bit more about it. But this wagering, even though it mimics real sports betting, lines and sides and totals and things like that, the basis of a sweepstake is that a company is giving away money for free, and I put that in quotes, no purchase necessary. So the way it works with these sweepstakes sites is you get a certain number of basically play money chips. And as a bonus, the company gives you, we'll say, real money chips. And I'll put real in quotes. And you wager the play money, just like I'm going to take Kansas City, +3. I'm going to take, the Blackhawks, -150, whatever. So you do that with the play money. And then once you've done the play money, you can make the same bet with your real money. And then it works just like sports wagering. Now you're probably thinking, what, Mark? I didn't really follow that. And how is that legal? Well, those are good questions. But keep in mind, sweepstakes, it's got to be no purchase necessary. Mike, remember McDonald's used to have these Monopoly games where you'd get little peel-offs on the things that you would buy. And the big deal was it was a sweepstakes, no purchase necessary.
Right.
And that was true. It's just that when you did buy one of their products, like a Big Mac or drink or something, they would give you one of these game pieces.
Right. It was on the cup or whatever.
Yeah. Now, if you didn't want to purchase anything, you could ask for just a free game ticket. And they would have to give it to you. Now, it might not have been as simple as going up to the counter and asking for one. Maybe you had to fill out a form and mail it in, or, they didn't make it easy.
I think you had to, it wasn't easy. I think you had to actually mail something in.
Right. So obviously, most people were buying McDonald's products to get these game pieces. So the sweepstakes wagering sites are kind of doing the same thing. The way that it works is when they would give you free play money chips as a bonus, that's the way they refer to it, they'd give you these real money chips to play with. And yes, you could ask for these for free. You have to jump through so many hoops, though, with these sweepstakes wagering places that it's not like you could make a living doing it. But if you paid for these play money chips, they'd give you, just tons of play money chips. And as a bonus, they'd give you these real money chips. So maybe, you pay $100, you get 1 million play money chips, and then you get $100 in real chips. And then you could wager them, and you would win prizes, and you could cash in these prizes, or you could cash in the prizes as cash. Again, I probably didn't explain it very well, but as far as the legality of it goes, it falls within the sweepstakes laws, and that's how they get away with it. It's basically, it's working around the law. Yeah, just like how here in California we have card craps. It's a way to get around the law.
Right.
So now Andrew's asking, okay, is it something worth considering? Well, probably, because you can play in states where maybe sports betting is not available. Are the states going to come down on this? Probably not, because there are a lot of sweepstakes casinos, online casinos out there where people are playing like slot machines. That's very popular, right? In fact, that's way more popular than the sweepstakes sports betting. So the government probably isn't going to come in and shut these down. It's just not a big enough deal for them to want to go on it. The problem is, though, these sites are not regulated like a real sports book would be. So, again, buyer beware. It's probably okay, but buyer beware. Just like if you use an offshore company. Well, that's not regulated here in the United States, so, who knows what's going to happen overseas, but there you go.
Yeah. It's like, remember when all the poker sites closed down and, wait a minute, I had $1,000.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We were on full tilt. And it was only a few $100s. Luckily, I got my money back, but it could have just disappeared.
It could have just disappeared, yeah. And our casino, Mark, when we start our casino,
Yeah.
S&H green stamps. That's what we're going to do. We're going to go back to the old green stamps.
S&H green stamps. Now you really want to show our age.
Yeah, you get a suited blackjack. You get 20 S&H green stamps, and you put them in your book. You save them up.
Put them in your book.
The casino, and you turn them in, and you can get a choice of a gift or free play.
Yeah, right. A can opener or $10 in free play.
Right. A 6-pack of Mountain Dew with Mountain actually spelled out on it, or $5 in free play. What would you like, sir?
I'll take the $5 in that case. I'm really wary of that. Also, with these sweepstakes, at least right now, the lines are typically not as good as you would find on a true sports book. So again, buyer beware. I would really recommend, I know that I have not explained this very well because we have not taken part in these sweepstake wagerings. So do a little research on your own. Just go online, do a Google search on sweepstakes sports betting, and you'll get a lot more information. So there you go.
Yeah, I think, there's probably better ways to spend your time than
again, the thing is, this is technically legal right now. Offshore bookmakers, is it legal? It's kind of a gray area. Your bookie, okay, that's illegal. But again, the government's not really coming down hard on them. But can you depend on a bookie? Right? Sometimes bookies disappear, right?
Skip town, yeah. Eventually the solution is just to make it legal to sports bet in every state, and have it regulated. And maybe some state could say, hey, we don't want it, like Utah or something, fine.
You're preaching to the choir here, Mike. Look, here we live in California, and we don't have sports betting, and I've talked about why we don't have it. We won't go into that.
Well, I'll tell you, there's so much goofiness in the world, it does not surprise me.
Yeah. All right. Well, on that positive note, let's go ahead and end this episode. Hey, we want to thank some people for some recurring donations. The International Brotherhood of Gobbling Donkeys, Jeremy over at the Color Up YouTube channel, Kurt, Nathan, and Brian Dancer. Thank you very much for those recurring donations. Also, we got a donation from listener Sean for Dr. Mike's school fund. Going to see The Implosion. Love the show. You're the first gambling podcast I really got into many, many years ago. Sean from Canada. Well, thank you very much, Sean. I know that Dr. Mike and the kids appreciate that. And hopefully you had a good viewing location for The Implosion. Did you see that online at all, Mike? The Tropicana coming down?
Yeah, I saw The Implosion, but I heard that they blocked off the streets and a lot of people didn't get good views.
Yeah, that was kind of a thing, is where can I go to see The Implosion? They some of the neighboring hotels were charging big prices. But yeah, that was kind of an issue, is where can I see it for free, out in the public? But
you used to just stand out in the street.
Just right about 20 feet away. Hey, it looks pretty good.
Bang that down.
Yeah. But, there are tons of videos online now, too, if you want to see that.
I'm not so big on the implosions, Mark. I just like to see a big old wrecking ball, out there, big, huge crane with this massive wrecking ball knocking the building down piece by piece.
Well, that still happens, too.
I know, but I like that better than imploding them. It takes longer. It's more fascinating. Blowing something up. Big deal.
It takes longer, and it's more... it definitely takes longer. I don't know if it's more fascinating. What's more fascinating than a giant building just collapsing?
Just trying to figure out how it's going to fall, when the wrecking ball hits it.
Well, the same thing can be said for implosions. Where do you put all the explosives?
There is an art to that. I understand that. I just like the wrecking ball.
All right, you've made your...
When they take down our casino, eventually,
after a year,
it's going to be a wrecking ball made out of Butterfinger.
Okay.
It's going to be like a huge round Butterfinger.
All right.
That destroys our casino.
All right. Hilarious. Hey, at the top of our webpage, you'll find a link to our store where you can buy You Can Bet on That merchandise. Also, you can find a list of all the gambling-related shows coming up on American television at youcanbetonThat.com/TV-listings. And we've got a list of gambling-related movies at youcanbetonThat.com/movies. We'd love to hear from you. Call our voicemail hotline at 951-292-4377. That's 951-2-WAGERS.
951-2-WAGERS.
Or you can email us at youcanbetonThat@gmail.com. We're also on Twitter at You Can Bet On That and on Facebook at facebook.com/You Can Bet On That. Now, Dr. Mike, I don't want to go on too long with this, but you and I are extremely disappointed with the way that the Padres went out. I mean, they went out with a whimper, not scoring runs for, what was it, like over 20 innings or something like that?
Yeah, it was over 2 games.
Yeah, so, we really had high hopes that maybe this would be the year, but again, we're Padres fans. I'm kind of almost over it now, even though, again, hugely disappointing.
I'm still seething because it's only been a couple days,
Yeah,
Mark.
yeah.
I got at least a week.
Yeah.
I would like to read you, though, what our good friend Paul texted me about all this.
All right.
So, after the Padres lost on Friday night, he texted, same Padres, no matter where I live, because he now lives in Texas.
Yep.
And I texted back, yep, it's frustrating, but we're used to it.
Yeah.
And he's texted back, why can't they score a run in a big game? Because that's happened in the past where they're, so good. And then all of a sudden, the moment comes when they need to and they just don't score.
Well, they had
whether it's in the season or regular season.
they hadn't been shut out since like right after the All-Star break. And then they're shut out 2 games in a row. The Dodgers are a good team, don't get me wrong, right? But yeah, that was very sad for us as Padre fans. And, you only get so many chances. So
exactly. You had to take advantage of them.
Yeah. So
after he said, why can't they score a big run? I texted back, because San Diego is the almost got there city.
Yeah.
No killer instinct.
Yeah.
We'll just wake up in the morning and go surfing. And Paul said, that may be true, but I'm thinking it's a curse. And I texted back, okay, I'll accept curse.
If curses exist, and they don't, we're cursed. Yeah.
He's involved with that. That's all you can do. Just accept it's a curse. Nothing else really makes sense. And then I just texted him, this is Friday night. And it ended with me saying, I'm going to just watch football now until I can calm down enough to sleep.
Yeah.
And that was the end of our conversation.
All right. We're done here. That's enough of that. Do you have anything else for the end of the show, Dr. Mike?
Well, I'm excited about football.
You're going to say you're excited about football? Do you have anything new to talk about, Dr. Mike?
Well, it seems like one week I do great in my picks, and the next week I do terrible.
Yeah, so, it wasn't that bad yesterday. You did okay.
No, we did okay.
I've been doing great on hockey, and then I bet on a huge favorite who lost yesterday. So that
if that huge favorite had not lost, it would have been a winning day. Yeah. But, well, anyway, that's all I've got to say. I'm excited to go to Zorkfest and see everybody. I'll probably be spending a lot of time just in the room, sulking and stuff. But I'll come down every now and then just to see who got another royal flush.
Okay, yeah. Oh, where's Dr. Mike? He's up in his room weeping.
Yeah, weeping.
All right, definitely. Well, we'll have one more episode before then, but definitely looking forward to that. So. All right, everybody. Good. Thanks for listening.
Good night.
Oh, Adam, the installation guys called. They can meet you at 9 tomorrow.
Okay, great. Oh, no. That's not going to work. We need to buy my lottery tickets at 9. That's my lucky time.
How is it lucky if you've never won?
Every time I don't win, I'm building up my luck. That's how it works.